Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be for another installment of Own It, Never Falking, Seen It, and this movie I'm reviewing, this is a movie that I've wanted to see for a very long time, and that is none other than what I've heard is one of the best in its genre, that of course being the 2012 martial arts Indonesian film, The Raid Redemption. And what the Raid Redemption is essentially about is we center on this team, basically. There are about 20 different members, and they are tasked with basically breaking into what was this sort of very secluded type of safe house, but they're going to finally break into it, basically, you know, get what they need to do, and finally bring the main crime lord to justice, and hopefully put an end to all this, and that's really all I'm going to say. So the Raid Redemption in general, I was real looking forward to this movie. I have had multiple recommendations for years that you need to watch The Raid. You know, if you love movies like this, you need to watch The Raid. If you love hand-to-hand combat stuff, you got to watch The Raid. The Raid is some of the best action in movies this decade, and I've been very interested in seeing it. I blind bought both the first one and the second one on Blu-ray, and I was very happy to see that I could, like I said, finally watch this one, and I'm very happy that I did, because The Raid Redemption is a fantastic film. This is a very different action film than we really do get nowadays, but it is still a very brutally realistic one that I definitely really enjoyed, and I'm going to get into right now, starting off with the cast. Now, because of the nature of this film, the cast in general, there isn't really anyone that sticks out, but I do think everyone did a really great job. Someone that I do want to talk about, though, is our main character here. Uwais as our main character, I thought was very strong. This guy is very dedicated. He really wants to get this mission done by any means, and he really won't let anyone tell him different. Anything that the way that he wants to get it done, that's how it's gonna happen, and I really love that about him. He's very, you know, you very much root for him in that sense, and I really did love this character. He was a badass, he was very rootable, and I think he did a really great job here. And then the rest of the cast here I thought also did a really good job. I really like Joe Taslim as Jaka. He's like the main guy who is, you know, giving them orders and things like that. I thought he did a really good job. The main sort of, you know, crime lord they're going after, Tama, he is fantastic. What I loved about Ray, Sahetapy, what I really, sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but what I really loved about his character is that he really does go against a lot of tropes that we come to know with crime lords. This is not a guy who is dressed up and is always smoking a cigarette. You know, he is very disheveled, and he's sweating a lot, and he isn't someone that, you know, you'd want to come in contact with, and I think they just did a very good job at depicting a very realistic portrayal of a drug lord. He did a really great job here. I thought he was very strong. I also really loved, you know, this character of, I thought Ruhian, he was really great here. I thought, honestly, everyone did a really great job. I don't really think there was anyone in this film who wasn't great. I think, honestly, everyone did a really great job. I also really like the guy who played Lieutenant Wahoo. I thought he was a very interesting character, and I really did love everyone here. I thought they worked very well together, and I very much did enjoy the cast here. I thought everyone really was fantastic. But now I really do want to get into what I really want to say, which is the directing and the writing, because that is easily one of the best things about this film. Gareth Hugh Evans, he directed, but he also wrote the film. The way he helms this film is spectacular. I really have not seen a film quite like this one before. I've seen things of this nature, but I haven't seen anything quite like this, where the whole thing is pretty much one action scene. So the whole tone, there's never really a moment in this film that you have to breathe. You know, you're always on edge throughout the whole film. You don't know how this is going to happen. You know they can get discovered at any minute. You know that they really want to go after these guys, and I think he did a really great job directing this. There's a lot of urgency in this film, and I thought the tone was just just really great. It's very suspenseful. Like I said, it never really stops because of the fact that you're in this house the entire movie, and I thought the directing was very spot on there. You know, you really wouldn't see that in a mainstream film, let alone an American film, and the fact that he did something this bold and this risky, and of course this is not an American film, obviously it's Indonesian, I thought was just a really cool idea, and I'd really love to see more movies do something like this, where the entire thing just takes place in one location. I've seen movies like that before, but not something quite like this. This was honestly on a whole other level, and I think he did a really great job. The writing, however, is easily my biggest problem with this film, because when the film started, I thought, okay, this is going to be like Dunkirk, where basically we're following a bunch of characters in this one situation, and we're seeing how they deal with it. And it is that, but it also isn't, because my biggest problem with this film is that it can't seem to make up its mind about whether it's a film about just this one event of them, you know, raiding the house and going after this crime boss, or is it about that, but also the sort of internal conflicts that each one of these characters are going through? It just didn't seem to know how it was going to handle itself, and I think it would have worked a lot better if it did do things in the Dunkirk style, where we just follow a bunch of characters and we don't really, and you know, their background, that stuff, it doesn't matter. What matters is the event and how they deal with this event, and there are things in the writing that obviously are interesting. Like, there are moments where you'll have a character instruct them to do something and someone else wants to do something another way. That's expected. That's something I definitely do expect to see in this film, and I do think they handled that stuff quite well. However, there are many points in this film where they want you to feel for these characters. And like I said, because the whole movie, almost the entire movie, minus one scene, takes place in this one building, it's very hard to feel attached to them. And when things happen, you don't necessarily feel bad for them. Obviously, you know, you want them to get out of the situation, but you aren't really that emotionally attached to these characters. For example, our main character here, all we know about him is that he has a wife at home who's pregnant, and that's it. And that he's hiding something from her, and that's really it. That's all we really know about our main character, and I don't really think that was enough. The movie seems to think it is, that, oh, I got a wife back home and, you know, everything's fine there, but I don't really think that's the case. I think they should have, you know, if they really wanted to center on these characters, then they definitely should have done that, but it just seemed like the film didn't know, did it want to focus on just this one event, or how the characters are dealing with this one event? Because like I said, I really did not feel that attached to many of these characters. I'm not saying they're bad, but emotionally, no, I just did not really care about them, and I do think that the writing kind of suffered because of that. All the stuff inside the house, them raiding, that stuff is fantastic. It's very realistic, it's very on the edge of your seat, and it doesn't go the way you think. That's something I love. This does not end in a neat sort of, you know, very sort of polished manner. There's nothing polished about this movie. It's brutal, it's messy, and I love that about the writing. And that leads me right to the film's best aspect, the cinematography. Holy shit. I mean, seriously, I have seen some crazy action in movies before, but really nothing on this scale. Every single shot of this movie is just masterful. Every single time you see them enter a building, you are just getting chills. You're on the edge of your seat. You don't know what's going to happen. And it just feels so real. Nothing about this feels Hollywoodized. Nothing about this feels like a story. This feels like something that actually happens, and it's so gripping in that sense. I think the action here is just phenomenal. I mean, there's so many scenes where you're like, this is really going too easy for them. Well, that gets shut down real quick, and things, they really do get fucked over in this movie, and I thought that was very well handled. I really love the cinematography. Just little shots of them going through the building, or walking through, you know, walking through a door or something like that, or them going downstairs. Just the way those are shot, like I said, it's so realistic. It puts you right into that moment. action, and I think they did an incredible job with the action. It's just one of those films that even if you're not really that into, you just can't take your eyes off of, and I think they did a really great job with that. The score here I really loved. It was very gripping. It really put you in the moment, and I definitely really enjoyed it. And the editing, to me, I think this movie was the perfect length. I really was never bored or anything like that. Like I said, really my only complaint with this movie is the character stuff. I just think there really was a little bit too much of it. I didn't really care that much about these characters, and I'm glad they made a sequel because I'm hoping that that sequel does give us more character stuff, and it does make me care for these characters on a deeper level than I already do. It's not like I didn't care for them, but when they were, when they were going through stuff and they're talking about things, and there are some big revelations in this movie, I just didn't really care all that much because we didn't really have a lot of information about these characters for me to really connect with them and for me to really feel bad for them on that emotional level, and I just really didn't. But other than that, guys, The Raid is a fantastic film. This is a film that I really do want to see more of. I'd love to see more action films done in this way before. I think it's an action film that really is required for any viewer to watch whatsoever because we really don't get too many like this, and I think it definitely is something really great. I know Gareth Evans has another movie coming out this year, and I'm really interested in seeing what he's going to do with that one because I think he did a tremendous job on this film. Overall, guys, I really did love this movie, and despite the one problem I had, I think this movie is pretty great, and I am going to give The Raid Redemption overall a B+. But overall, guys, my review of The Raid Redemption. Stay tuned because